Hi everyone. I'm really glad to be with you today. Again, the first two units that we have studied up to now could be considered basic grammar. The real advanced grammar starts today with noun clauses. But before we begin with this important topic, let us review a little bit of grammar, something that you have learned before, okay? And let us start with the definitions of words, phrases, and clauses, okay? Let us begin with the first one. What is a word? A word is a group of letters. For example, you have mum, M-O-M, okay? This group of letters is a word. And the word mum represents someone. We also have car and tooth. What do we have here? We have words. And what is a word? It is a group of different letters. That is, in general, the definition of a word. What is a phrase? Okay, here you have the definition. A phrase is a group of related words. For example, you have in the corner, at noon, on the table. Remember that a phrase is a group of related words. It is not just any combination of words. You cannot say car, moon, and shoe. Okay, that is not a phrase because the words are not related. Generally, when you have a phrase, you generally have a preposition and then a noun at the end. In the corner, at noon, on the table. Okay, that is the definition of a phrase, a group of related words. And we have something else. What is it? A clause. What is a clause? A clause is a group of words, a group of related words, including subject and verb. But this group of words lacks something. What is it? Complete meaning. Okay? Look at the examples that we have here. When I get up in the morning, what? You see, you have a verb. It is I. You have a subject, which is I. You have a verb, which is get up. But when you say the whole clause, you see that there is not complete meaning. When I get up in the morning, what happens? What do I do? Here you have another one. Where I live. You have the subject I and you have the verb live. Where I live, what? You need extra information so you don't have complete meaning. And the last one, before I go to bed, what? An example could be before I go to bed, I wash my teeth. Okay, that would be a complete sentence. But only before I go to bed, that is not a complete sentence. That is not a sentence because it doesn't have complete meaning. So what is a clause? A clause is a group of words, including subject and verb, but without complete meaning. Let us review. What is a word? Group of letters. What is a phrase? Group of related words. What is a clause? A group of words, including a subject and verb, but without complete meaning. Let us try to remember this because this is going to be very useful in the following slides. Now, again, continuing with our review. What is a noun? A noun generally, okay, it is not all the time, but generally, it is a word that identifies or names what? A person, a place, a thing, a process, or idea. Example, car. What is car? Car is a thing. What is freedom? It is a noun, yes, but it is naming an idea. You have digestion. What is digestion? That is a noun, yeah. It is naming something. What is it? It is a process. You have Carlos. What is this? This is a noun, okay? And what is the function of a noun? It names, in this case, a person, holoquilta, a place, and so on. And here you have sky and elbow. All of them are nouns, words that identify or name persons, places, things, processes, or ideas. Now, if we want to understand clauses, and in this case, noun clauses, we need to understand first nouns. Now, let us review the three common functions of nouns. A noun can be the subject of a sentence. Look at the example that we have here. Carlos is a wonderful person. What is the subject of the sentence? Who are you talking about? You're talking about Carlos, okay? Then Carlos is the subject. Remember, the subject is the person, thing, or whatever you are talking about. Here, I'm talking about Carlos, then that is the subject. In the other sentence that you have here, you have freedom. And then you say freedom is not free. What are you talking about? You're talking about freedom. Then what is freedom? Freedom is the subject. What is freedom? Freedom is a noun. And what is the function of this noun in this sentence? It is the subject. Okay? Now, let us continue. Another function, another common function of a noun is being the object. Object of a verb, object of a preposition. In this case, you have the sentence, you can see the stars at night. And you have here the noun stars. What is the function of this noun? Let us read the sentence again and let us stop after the verb. Listen to this. You can see what? You can see what? The answer to this what is the object. You can see what? The stars. Then stars is the object. Okay? My teacher knows what? My teacher knows the answer. So answer is the object of the verb. Okay? Now we have another common option, and that is complement. Let us look at the example that we have here. The problem was the battery. Is it possible to say the same thing in another way? Yes, I can change the position of words, and then I may say, the battery was the problem. The problem was the battery. If you see, the problem is the same as the battery. The battery is the same as the problem. Now, you have the word problem and you have the word battery. Okay, in this case, battery is the complement of problem. When do you have a complement? Look at the verb in the middle. It is was. And was is a linking verb. Okay? So when you have a noun and then another noun and they refer to the same thing and you have a linking verb in the middle, the second noun is the complement of the first noun. Let us see the other slide. Now, we were talking about functions. Now let us talk about positions. They are similar. Okay? Now, let us see the first position. It is subject. Again, Carlos is a wonderful person. Generally, remember, generally, the subject is at the beginning of a sentence. Look at the example here. Carlos is at the beginning of a sentence. Who are you talking about? You're talking about Carlos. Carlos is the subject. Carlos is a wonderful person. So, one common position of a noun is at the beginning of a sentence, and it is generally the subject of the sentence. Okay? Now, where do you find objects? You know you find objects after verbs. Answering the question? Yes, answering the question what? Let us see the example here. You can see what? The stars. What is the position of stars? It is after the verb see. My teacher knows what? The answer. What is the position of answer? It is after the verb knows. Okay? Now let us recap. Where can you find a noun? What is the common position of a noun? Sometimes it is at the beginning of a sentence, and the function, a subject. Sometimes the noun is after the verb. Function, object of the verb. Okay? And in the third example here, when the noun is complement, you find the noun after what kind of verb? After a linking verb. Okay? Remember that a linking verb doesn't show action. Now we have the problem was the battery, and battery is after a linking verb. In this case, is the linking verb was. Okay? Three common functions: subject, object, complement. Three common positions at the beginning of the sentence, after a verb, or after a linking verb. That is something that you have to remember. As you have seen, we have been reviewing nouns. Why? If you understand nouns, then the topic that we have for today, noun clauses, is going to be very easy for you. Look at this, and this is something that I want you to remember all the time. A noun clause can have the same position and function of a noun. A noun clause can have the same position and the same function of a noun. Okay? So if you understand position and function of a noun, then it will be easy for you to understand the position and function of a noun clause. Let us continue with our topic. We have studied up to now that a noun can be the subject, the object, or the complement in a sentence. And we also mentioned that a noun clause may have the same function and position of a noun. And we have also mentioned the definition of a clause. What is a clause? It is a group of relative words having subject and verb without complete meaning. Okay? Let us combine all this information and let us analyze the first sentence. Here you have a noun clause working as a subject of the sentence. Remember that the subject is at the beginning of the sentence, okay? So where is the clause here? That I love you is obvious. Where is the clause? It is that I love you. It is a combination of words, and you have a subject and you have verb, but this clause doesn't have a complete meaning by itself. It needs something else. So if I say that I love you, you may say, what? I don't understand. What do you mean? But when I add the other information, then you understand that I love you is obvious. Question. You have this sentence here, that I love you is obvious. What is the principal verb? Is it love or is it is? And the answer is the second one. It is. Okay? And what about love? Love is the verb of the clause. The principal verb of the sentence is. Okay? So, it is possible to have a noun at the beginning of a sentence, and when that happens, it is generally the subject. So, if it is possible to have a noun clause at the beginning of the sentence, and that is the subject of the sentence. Okay? Now, let us look at the second example. That I lost the money is unfortunate. That I lost the money. What is it? You have subject and verb, but you don't have complete meaning. That I lost the money, what? I don't understand. That I lost the money is unfortunate. Okay? So what do you have at the beginning? You have a noun clause. Remember that there are different kinds of clauses. You have adjective clauses, adverb clauses, and you have noun clauses. It is a noun clause because it has the same function of a noun. Okay? Now, let us see the other part. When the noun clause is the object. Where do you find the object? Remember, you find the object after the verb of the sentence. Look at this. Everybody can see what? Everybody can see what? The answer to this what is the object. Everybody can see that I love you. Okay? So what is that I love you? This is not a simple noun. No, this is a noun clause. Okay? Why clause? Because it has subject and verb. Why noun clause? Because the clause is working as the object of the sentence after the verb see, answering the question what. Okay? Let us see the other example. I know. What do I know? I know what? I know that grammar is wonderful. What is this? That grammar is wonderful. That is a noun clause. Okay? Subject of the clause, verb of the clause. And all this, that grammar is wonderful, is a noun clause. Okay? Answering the question, what? Position after the principal verb of the sentence. And this verb has something special. What is it? It is an action verb. It shows action, just like this. See, it shows action. It shows action. Know, I know what. The grammar is wonderful. Okay? But a noun can also have another position and another function, and it is a complement. Where do you find a complement? You find a complement after what kind of verb? Yes, after a linking verb. Okay? Where is the linking verb in this sentence? The problem was that the car was too expensive. There are two, was and was. What is the principal verb? Let me see. I see that here, okay? And that sometimes introduces a noun clause, okay? When I see that and then I see a group of words having subject and verb, that could possibly be a noun clause. Let me see. The problem was that the car was too expensive. That the car was too expensive. Okay, this was is the verb of the clause. And what about this one? This was, that is the principal verb. And since it is a complement after a linking verb, then you can change the position of the words. So you can say that the car was too expensive was the problem. Or the problem was that the car was too expensive. Both sentences are correct. Where do you find a noun working as complement? You find it after a linking verb. Okay? Where do you have a noun clause working as complement? Again, after a linking verb. But now let us learn something else. It is also possible to have a complement after an adjective, and that is something that we had not mentioned before. It is possible to find a complement after an adjective. Look at this. It is important. That could be a sentence, okay? But if I just come to you and I tell you it is important, what do you ask? What is important? Okay? So for you to understand me, you need a complement. You need extra information. And then I'm going to give you the extra information. Listen to me. It is important that you study at least 4 days a week. Now I understand. But what is this? That you study at least 4 days a week. You have the subject of the clause and you have Another, you have a verb, but what is this group of words that you study at least 4 days a week? That is a clause. That is a noun clause. And what is the position of this clause? It is after an adjective. In this case, it is the adjective important. Okay? Now, talking about noun clauses. They can be subject of the sentence, position at the beginning. A noun clause can be the object of a sentence, position after the principal verb. A noun clause can be a complement, position after a linking verb. A noun clause can be a complement, position after an adjective. We have seen up to now that a noun clause can start with that I love you, that I have lost the money, that I don't understand, that I like something. Then those are noun clauses beginning with that. Some noun clauses may start with question words. For example, what or why. Look at the sentence that we have here. What I have done is something great. What is the principal verb? Is. Okay? What do you have to the left? The subject. What do you have to the right of the principal verb? You have the complement. To the left of the principal verb, I have what I have done. It is a clause. How do I know it is a clause? Because it has subject and verb. How do I know it is a noun clause? Because it is at the beginning. It is the subject of the sentence, okay? And the subject of the sentence can be a noun or a noun clause. So it is possible to start a noun clause with a question word. What? Look at this. Why? Why he did that? Nobody knows. It is a clause because it has subject and verb. It is a noun clause because it is at the beginning of the sentence. How do I identify noun clauses? They can be found at the beginning of the sentence. Some of them start with that, and some of them start with question words. Another position of a noun clause after the principal verb, working as subject, okay? And the point here is that the noun clause starts with a question word. Let us see the example. I wonder. I wonder what? I wonder what I have to do next. So here we have a noun clause, subject, verb. How do I know it is a noun clause? Because it is after the principal verb and it is answering the question what. Okay, I wonder what I have to do next. Can you explain what? Can you explain why he did that? Okay, this is a clause because it has subject and verb. This is a noun clause because it is after the verb, the principal verb explain. It is an action verb. It is a noun clause because it answers the question what. Now, a noun can be a complement. A noun clause can also be a complement. Where do you have complements? After linking verbs. Look at this. The mystery is how he could buy the car. The mystery is linking verb. What do you have after the linking verb? You have a clause, and the clause begins with a question word. In this case, it is how. But there is another position of a complement. It is after an adjective, and it is called adjective complement. This is something that we hadn't mentioned before. Look at this. It is funny what she did in class. It is funny what she did in class. You have an adjective, and then you have a clause starting with what. What kind of clause is it? It is a noun clause because it is after an adjective. So remember, a noun clause can be a complement, and you can find a complement after a linking verb or after an adjective. And now, some noun clauses start with whether or if. The answer is hard to tell. Here you have a simple sentence, okay? The answer is hard to tell. Look at the second example. Whether she likes it is hard to tell. In the first one, you have a simple noun as the subject. In the second one, you have a noun clause with subject and verb. How do I know it is a noun clause? Because it is at the beginning and it is the subject of the sentence. So remember, a noun clause can begin with that, it can begin with a question word, or it can begin with whether or if. And here you have another example. Whether he is coming or not is not important to me. Okay, the principal verb is. To the left, you have the subject. To the left, you have a clause. To the left, you have a noun clause. To the left, you have a noun clause beginning with whether. Now, remember that a noun clause can be also object of the sentence after a principal verb, okay? After an action verb. It is hard to tell what? The answer, okay? This answer is the object of the verb or object of the sentence. It is hard to tell whether she likes it. It is hard to tell if she likes it, okay? A noun clause beginning with whether. And it is also possible to find a noun clause working as an object after a preposition. I care about whether he is coming or not. Remember, an object can be found after a verb or after a preposition. And to finish with, a noun clause can also be a complement when it is after a linking verb or when it is after an adjective. Let us see the example here. Subject complement. The issue is whether she needs it or not. How do I know this is a noun clause? It is after a linking verb. And now I know that it is possible to start a noun clause with the word whether or with the word if. He is uncertain whether she needs it or not. As you have seen, we have been reviewing nouns. Why? If you understand nouns, then the topic that we have for today, noun clauses, is going to be very easy for you. Look at this. And this is something that I want you to remember all the time. A noun clause can have the same position and function of a noun. A noun clause can have the same position and the same function of a noun. Okay? So if you understand position and function of a noun, then it will be easy for you to understand the position and function of a noun clause. Let us continue with our topic.